Oh, well done.
No one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the strategy committee members, welcome members of staff. As always, please ensure that your devices are either switched off or on silent mode whilst the press. And if a cell phone interrupts the course of the meeting, we will stop and wait for the device to be muted. This meeting is being held in the supper room of the Waihinga Centre, Martin Borough Town Hall. It is being live streamed and it will be available to view on Council's YouTube channel. We don't have any members of the public with us today, so we won't go through the evacuation instructions, as you are all well aware of them. But could you all please stand and join me in the opening again?
That's all.
Got it. Thank you. We have apologies this morning from Councillor Elans, Councillor Maynard and Councillor Hawley. Do I have a mover to consent to the apologies? Thank you, Councillor Woodcock and seconder, Councillor Gray, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. The motion is carried. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare this morning? Fabulous. Any acknowledgements or tributes? Councillor Gray.
I would like to acknowledge, first of all, huge amounts of work that have gone into the topic that we're about to discuss. And I'd like to note that it has followed a very rigorous consultation process where we've engaged the community and we have followed all the legislation and we've followed all of the processes. And I say that the day after the central government passed their pay equity amendment bill, not following the same sort of processes, not allowing the community to come on board with all of this. So I don't know if we're currently live streaming, but I'd like to look down the camera and challenge the central government to call a snap election, to recognise the fact that they're not acting on behalf of the country's best interests and like we're required to do as elected members. Yeah, that's my acknowledgement for the day.
Great.
Brother.
Any other acknowledgements? Let that one sit as it should. Any urgent business this morning? No. That brings us to the confirmation of Strategy Working Committee meeting minutes from the 23rd of April. This is item 6.1. Are there any corrections needed to these meeting minutes, please? No, that being the case, I'm looking for a mover to accept that the minutes of Strategy Working Committee meeting held on 23 April 2025 are a true and correct record. Thank you, Councillor Old, seconded Councillor Bosley. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. Motion is carried. Zooming along to the decision reports from Chief Executive and staff, and the one and only topic on our agenda today is local water done well deliberations, which is item 7.1, and we'll invite Robin to join us and to take us through. As Robin is joining us, I would just like to echo Councillor Gray's acknowledgement of how much work has happened to get us here today. Right back probably to the middle or early part of last year, where both staff and elected members have entered into workshops and learning and understanding, and we've worked from a very, very wide range of options narrowed down to two for the community to consider and select. So I'd just like to thank the staff that have been involved in that massive piece of work to get us to where we are today. So thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the opportunity consideration in this deliberation report this morning. And as you say, there's been a massive amount of work being put in by a really diligent and dedicated project team. And I acknowledge the members of the team from the councils, Ms. Lena, Peter Windsor and Johannes, and Jen Drake as well, who joined us to help put the information together so that we could go through this process with you today. So I will go through the report because it's important in terms of the requirements under the various acts that the government's put in place, that it's really clear that you do understand the comments of the community and that they understand the implications of any decision that you may make today. So yes, we have been on the journey since July last year, when the small team of the Wairepa councils got together and said that they should look at joining together on a joint agreement, being joined by Tararua soon after. This process that we've gone through, we have had the advantage of working under the alternative process for deliberations, for decision making, that came out under the preliminary arrangements bill. And so it is a little bit different than the normal consultation process. Although we're not required to present all practical options, you will recall, of course, that we went through that multi-criteria analysis process. We did look at the other practical options available to South Wairepa. We looked at a single council CCO, we looked at our existing arrangements, the 3 Wairepa councils or the Wairepa Tararua councils, and through those 46 criteria in those areas, we settled on the Wairepa Tararua as the option that was taken forward into the actual work that the AOG did to develop the proposal and put it in our consultation document. I want to acknowledge that iwi were involved in the multi-criteria analysis, and the whole section around what was important to iwi was developed, discussed and graded by our partners, Ringatani and Kakanunu. And it was an important part of the criteria that we, in the Wairepa Tararua, we would be a single represented in that possible joint arrangement. When we developed a proposal that went out with two options, the first being Wairepa Tararua. Second, and it's important to note, it wasn't Wellington Water per se. It was our existing arrangement, which is represented by Wellington Water, that is a non-asset owning CCO. So in order that you could make your decisions, we asked the submitters to not only make the choice between option 1 and option 2, but to provide their further thoughts and respond to why they made that choice. So what was important to them, the key things that were important to them when they made their option choice. And it was really gratifying to see that some of those themes or reasoning that we carried through the multi-criteria analysis around Wairepa Tararua came out as the top option, flowed through to the thoughts and the suggestions that came through from the submitters in the consultation process. So we had 135 responses. Of that, 95 or 70% of those submitters gave reasoning as to why they chose an option 1 or option 2. And what was important to them, that's really important because that will help to guide the detailed design of any new entity going forward. And some of those things have been built into the recommendations that have been given to you today as well. So we did a breakdown of the submissions for you. 88% in favour of the Wairepa Tararua or a multi-council CCO entity, I should say. 12% for the existing arrangement. It was well represented by Featherston constituents. And I think that's because they are well educated and involved in water matters down there in Featherston with some of the issues from groundwater to flooding to stormwater and of course the wastewater treatment plant. So well represented. The options by wards were pretty even in terms of those that supported option 1, option 2. So we received a submission from the Martin Borough Community Board and also a submission from Rangatana Tumare Trust that were both in support of option 1.
Let's do a Right, you're back on. Right, well, that was a unexpected interruption to our morning. So we'll pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
Won't start again. So I was starting to talk about themes. So we looked at all of the 135 submissions and pulled out the themes that came through. Very good, high quality of submissions that we received. And as I say in the report, trust, communities of interest, reliability, quality, financial sustainability, affordability, performance under our existing model, and local delivery accountability came out as the themes. And we've given you an attachment with every submission and the themes that came through in those submissions. People were very keen on the advantages, potential advantages of local delivery and accountability. And that was under the proviso that a good team was put together to establish the entity, that all of those critical design decisions were made, and that this new entity is established appropriately. So, as I mentioned before, the submissions really validated the journey that we've been on. So the recommendations that we've made to you, as well as resolving to agree that option one, multi-council CCO, would be the proposal that we included in water services delivery plan. We also made a number of recommendations relating to the community's views on how to proceed and what was important to them. So that we've got to keep on the timeline that the government has put in place. So we know that we have a water services delivery plan required by 30 September of this year. And then, of course, we will have to transition out of our current arrangement into a new arrangement. And so the government's provided a number of templates and guidelines to local government to use. And we recommend that we use those because it's probably understated to say the many thousands of dollars of work that's going to save us in terms of legal fees by having those guidelines and templates available. It's really important that we get a good project team up and running, and we've brought on board Catherine, who you all met yesterday as project director, and she'll be putting a team together. It's also important to start those important negotiations that are going to be required to bring all the four councils together. So exactly how is the shareholding going to be set up? What kind of voting rights? How many board members? How do you select those board members? And all those things. But usefully, a number of those things are incorporated in those guidelines as to get through those decision making. Also, it's important because South Wairarapa took advantages of a deferred LTP last year, and we all know in terms of our audit of our consultation document for LTP, there were some requirements of the auditor. So it's important that the design decisions that we've had made are incorporated in our recommendations today to you as well. In terms of this being a multi-council CCO, there is an expected establishment date. Stormwater is going to transfer in terms of management to the new entity, and water races as green water services infrastructure and flows bill will stay with the council. Also, it should be noted that under these new entities and under the government's acts and bills that they've put in place, these entities cannot be privatised. They will be regulated through the Commerce Commission, and the Commerce Commission will look at the appropriate cost to deliver service to an area. They'll look at the investments that are being made, and they will also drive these new entities to ensure that these projects are actually put in place. So we're ahead of the other councils in consultation with Marsden, Carterton and Tararua. If any council does drop out, although you would have seen in the media release that all councils did get this preferred option as their with the greatest percentage of submissions, we would have to work through what that means. However, 3 councils are still a large scale as well. And the government may choose to step in if somebody did drop out. So we recommend you consider all the very good feedback we got from the community and the recommendations that we made on staff. And look forward to your decision and your recommendations to us.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks, Colin.
For that, Robin. I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to move to receive the Done Well Deliberations report and then open up for conversation and debate. So I'm looking for a mover to receive thank you, Councillor Plummer and Councillor Olds to second. All those in favour of receiving the local water Done Well Deliberations report, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Thank you. The motion is passed. Are there any questions for Robin this morning? I'm happy to kick off with a couple. Robin, you talked about the multi-criteria assessment that was done early on. It looked at a very wide range of potential options. Has that piece of information been publicly released?
Yes. So
Pause.
so
Pause.
Just
Pause.
yeah.
Start up again.
You're saying, Robin.
Yes, all of the full package of information from the Wellington, all of the Wellington regional reports, all of the, we did a full report on the process we followed for the multi-criteria analysis, all of the spreadsheets, all of the results, all of that stuff has been available on our webpage and at the other councils from last year when we made the decision. In addition, all of the minutes of and information from all of the advisory oversight group meetings that have been held since January up to this point have also been released on our website.
And my second question, that one was sort of looking backwards, this one is looking forwards. The submission, some of the submissions posed quite detailed questions around the formation of a new entity, staffing, all sorts of things that for the most part are probably as yet unknown, because that's just the nature of this process that we're following as per the government instruction. Is there a plan at this point for taking the community on the journey from today's decision through the next steps and set up of an entity?
Yeah, so that's all the detailed design decisions that are going to have to be made on the way through the delivery plan and then onwards to the establishment. So the new the project director and has been will be putting together a plan and a budget for the detailed processes of doing all that work. All the way through, we have had a communications and engagement plans in place that also be in place working with the other councils. The existing advisory oversight group and the agreement with the other councils only came up to the point of public consultation, because of course we couldn't predetermine where we were going to go after that step. So I expect that there will be a reset of the governance oversight structures and the way all this will be communicated through to the community from here forward.
Also, the community can rest assured this is not the end of their understanding of where we're going, but just the beginning of the next phase, so to speak. Any other questions from committee for women? Thank you, Councillor Pullman.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. And thank you for all your work. It's been fantastic. Look, I just want to get on record. There's been a lot of conversation around various councils about the debt that councils are bringing to the party. And I would just like to get it put on record so we see that there is a little bit of mistruth out there about the debt levels that South Wairarapa are bringing to the party. Yes, we have a big lot of work in front of us, and I asked this question in general conversation. So, Janice, you might want to actually give us those figures again in public forum, so that it is on record. Say, what is the debt levels of each council by ratepayer for local water done well, so we know, so that we actually get some real facts out there about what is South Wairarapa, what is the debt we're bringing to the party comparative to other councils.
Per household.
Per household, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, and I think that's been missed in the whole conversation, particularly in one of our neighbouring councils. I can't find it in any papers. I'm sure it's there, but
Through you, Chair, I mean, this is informal information, so this was just communications that were happening between the teams. So this isn't published information, and it's not anything that I can say that I've reviewed or put any substantive review over, but ballpark, the numbers we're looking at is just short of 6,000 per household for South Wairarapa, 12,000 for Tararua, 7,000 for Carterton, and 4,000 for Masterton.
so
They're ballpark, they're unverified figures, but that's as we stand now going into the entity is what the information currently looks like.
So even with our investment going forward in our long-term plan, we're going to be reasonably similar to probably to Carterton when we, if we were to fill our plan over the next years.
I would suggest that we would probably move more towards Tararua because our investment profile is front loaded. And it always has been front loaded through all of the information that we've had, the DIA reviews that we've had, and the analysis that the team has done has always shown that South Wairarapa's requirements going into the new entity are larger than the other councils at this point.
Yes.
The other thing to note is that we are currently having an external verification of those numbers done so that we can establish the validity or not, given the recent press comments around Wellington Water's numbers.
Thank you.
So having those externally verified at the moment.
Thank you. Well, could I get a potential comment of you about the way that work is required across the four councils, noting that South Wairarapa obviously has a need now, and then I understand Tararua, the next one, and then Carterton, and then Masterton. So it's a staggered sort of approach in terms of absolute need, which is actually quite a benefit to the whole concept of this local water's done well, because it's not all councils needing work done urgently right now. So it actually provides a really good staged approach should all the councils adopt this. For over the next 15 to 20 years, it's actually, we're in a good position, not a bad position. It's I'm interested in your comment.
Yeah, I mean, the nature of these utilities will be that they will look at all the work that needs to be done, and they will work to look for efficiencies and things that can be done together, similar project management and things like that. And I think one of the advantages is we did talk about joint ownership and direction setting at a greater scale. So if there's multiple water treatment plants that need to be upgraded, you can take a priority investments. It enables a smoothing of investment and debt and using leverage practically in these utilities. So it's a good thing that all of this can be pulled together and delivered in the most optimal, efficient way in the future.
Thank you. Any further questions for Robin before we move to the resolutions? I think for anyone watching, that speaks, the fact that there aren't a huge number of questions today speaks to the process that we've all been through, and how much information flow has occurred, as we talked about at the beginning, over such a long period of time, and that councillors today will base their decisions on, a mammoth amount of information, and do so not being left with questions that could be answered right now. As I talked about before, and you talked about, there's a lot of design to come and questions to be answered in time, but today's decision will be based on pretty solid information that we have today. With that said, there are 10 further resolutions to be made, and I am going to take them one by one because they are all quite substantial and speak to different aspects of this decision.
Could I just speak before we do that, please? So, yeah. So I have grave concerns about any CCO model. I have different opinions on leaving in-house and local, but unfortunately we're not voting on that option today. I would like the 11 recommendations to be voted on separately, which you've just said, Chair, thanks, as I believe stormwater should not be included. I'm very worried about the cost of bureaucratic oversight. Luckily, this gets spread over multiple councils, but it is a big financial burden before any work even gets done. I would also like this council to put a mandate in as things progress that admin and governance cost is kept to a minimum percentage of any work done, with money spent overall. Also a mandate to remove consultant costs going forward, as we heard yesterday from Wellington Water how that has had a large effect on project costs within their organisation. And to mandate for local contractors to be used wherever possible, and that the entity staff leading projects should take the local contractors and drain layers advice on board when projects and maintenance has been undertaken. I would also like the entity governance group to push back to government on consent processes and especially costs. It is my belief that no council should have to pay to consent for drinking water, which is a necessity of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want to make any comment on that? Some of those requests for mandate, I believe, would come through the letter of expectation at a later date. So we'll be able some of that stuff will be able to be, we can't address today.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Address.
I just wanted to put it out there public. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the expectations and water strategy that will have to be presented by the entity, as well as the professional board and staff that will be put in place to run this entity. And a key driver is around the local control, accountability, and the benefits. And so we'd be highly disappointing if those kind of things didn't flow through. And it's a real advantage of being in this wider path. So is that we are all the same similar councils, and we do want these things for our local marapena communities and communities. So I think it's the beginnings of being able to deliver a lot of those things that you just mentioned.
Well done. To raise.
Right. That all being said, we'll move to resolution number 2. Resolve that the preferred option to deliver South Wairarapa's water services into the future is option 1, the Wairarapa Tararua multi-council controlled organisation. Councillor Olds will move that one. Councillor Gray to second. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion is carried. Resolution number 3, confirm that Councillor Olds and Councillor Sadler-Footer remain as the SWDC elected members, providing oversight to the CE on the decisions to be made on the Wairarapa Tararua multi-council, council-controlled organisation, and preparing the required water services delivery plan in accordance with the Local Government Water Services Preliminary Arrangement Act. Looking for a mover, Councillor Gray, Councillor Woodcock to second.
Congratulations on both standing again for the new council.
I said that.
Right along.
It's obvious, yeah.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion is carried. Number 4, confirm that the Water Services CCO entity will be an asset-owning entity managing wastewater and stormwater assets. Thank you, Councillor Plummer. Councillor Olds as the seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no.
Aye.
Sorry, is that 2 noes? The Mayor and Woody. The motion is carried. Motion number 5, confirm that water race assets and service provision will remain with SWDC as green infrastructure, subject to anticipated legislative requirements. Councillor Plummer to move, Councillor Olds to second. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion is carried. Number 6, confirm that subject to approval of the Water Services Delivery Plan, it is the intention that the new entity will progress through a staged implementation beginning with legal formation by 1 July 2026 to a full go live by no later than 1 July 2027. Councillor Olds with his fast fingers this morning. Councillor Plummer is our seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. The motion is carried. Number 7, continue to follow the high-level roadmap to implement local water done well as published by DIA. Councillor Gray and then Councillor Plummer to second. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. The motion is carried. Number 8, utilise the guidelines and templates provided by DIA to make best use of time and efficiencies. Thank you, Councillor Plummer. Thank you, Councillor Gray. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion is carried. Number 9, delegate the authority for the decision-making process around affordability and financial sustainability to the CEO with oversight from nominated elected members. Thank you, Councillor Gray. Thank you, Councillor Olds. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. The motion is carried. Number 10, proactively release information on decision-making to ensure transparency and accountability to the community. Thank you, Councillor Gray. Thank you, Councillor Woodcock. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, please say no. The motion is carried. And finally, note that an experienced project director has been appointed on a 12-month fixed term contract to lead the local water done well program, reporting to the CEO. Thank you, Councillor Gray and Councillor Woodcock. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The motion is carried. Well done, everyone. As we've talked about for some time now, this local water done well reform is a huge piece of work, not only for this council, but for our community. And that work doesn't stop today, but will continue into the coming months and the next probably few years. And the next pieces of action that we'll watch very closely are the votes of our neighbours over the coming weeks. That is the end of this meeting. Just throw to Councillor Olds quickly.
Just really want to make a little bit of a statement, and it really is addressed to you, Robin. So please bear with me. I had to make some notes because my memory is not as sharp as it used to be. It is without a doubt that today is a milestone day with the passing of the Wairarapa Tararua Water Services Delivery Plan. It is, however, sad that we say farewell to Robin. Robin has led the project team with professionalism, knowledge, and a genuine passion for achieving the right outcome for our communities. During one of our many meetings, and this is a little story I've got to tell you, during one of our many meetings working with the Wellington regional entity, I was seated next door to a mayor from over the hill. Robin was presenting to the group on a Wairarapa perspective, but partway through Robin's presentation, the mayor reached over and asked me, "Where did you get this woman?" My reply was, "She's ours. You can't have her." Thank you, Robin, and thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Indeed. We will close out, but would invite you to stick around for a minute. So we've asked you to stand and join in. 1, 2, master money, 1, 2, 1. Everyone.